Just looking for my presentation. Good morning, my name's Joanne and I'm here today to talk about two pieces of work which I developed through my doctoral investigation and briefly my plans for developing them further postdoctorally. Firstly, a little context. I've just completed my PhD, which interpreted early minimalist compositions during the 1960s in order to present examples of the genre as early examples of what we now consider immersive artistic practice. Through this, I discovered a number of works by Lamont Young and Terry Riley in particular, which could retrospectively be considered immersive. Consideration was also given to how advances in technology towards the end of the 20th century led to new affordances and immersive experiences through the creation of new forms of active space, such as virtual reality and collaborations at the intersection of art, design and technology. My investigation was framed through the concept of an expanded narrative based on the encounter between audience and artwork, and I considered this as extending from the Wagnerian Gesamtkunstwerk and is able to be broken down into three elements: the active space, cross-disciplinary collaboration, and the active audience. The narrative itself and its connection to world building and the creation of a meaningful encounter with material, whether written, performed, visual, or oral, can be further expanded to encompass the experience as understood within my investigation. World building is historically intertwined with human communication and experience, and is widely used within the arts and humanities to make fictional spaces and situations more believable for the audience. World building is also evident within the visual arts, historically with the construction of environments and installations, and later within virtual spaces. This role of interpreting a narrative is therefore an active one and connects the audience to the experience of being part of a work. In response to the examination of the expanded narrative and methods of immersion established through my investigation, I developed two installations. The first, Awakening, a physically constructed space, and the second, the Lull, as a virtual world platform, both presented as the examples of the act of creation and recreation utilising contemporary technology. Let's see if this can play. I won't do the audio as it might come through a bit loud. Awakening was developed in collaboration with composer Chris Foster and evoked a liminal dreamlike space at the cusp of waking, where the space between the real and the unreal allows for imaginative thought. Further, it allowed for the exploration of how the expanded narrative could occur through the construction of a multi-sensory space, which in turn augmented the listener's experience. Within a darkened space, 8 speakers were evenly distributed in a circle around the room to enable octaphonic playback. These created a directional presentation of the sound, allowing for the movement of the audience and their altered perceptions as they changed position within the space. Projected animated shapes complemented the soundtrack, punctuated the darkness, while portable handheld scent boxes were used to enhance the listening experience. A fog machine enabled the projector light to appear as a laser beam, with the moving particles of the visuals giving the impression of there being attached by strings to the beam and adding a greater sense of depth to the darkness of the space. The lull arose from the concept of a quiet, soothing space, a pause moment in time for an active audience. In contrast to Awakening's constructive, immersive, dreamlike physical space, the lull was accessed through an avatar in place of the audience's physical presence within a commercial virtual environment, Second Life, as embraced by minimalist composer Pauline Oliveros. While many of the aspects of the original work, audio, shapes, colour, fog, were recreated as far as practically possible, other elements were not possible within virtual space, for example, the use of scent. Further, it was not possible to create a projection in the same way as within the physical space, so I made the decision to change to more simplistic representations, using code to make the objects semi-transparent and phantom to allow them to appear and disappear with the presence of an avatar. The effect of fog was created by using multiple transparent phantom elements with particle effect coding added to them. My investigation also allowed me the opportunity to reflect on how it was placed within the current social and cultural context of the pandemic. The means of communication and interaction was opened up by cyberspace and digital technology, enabled new forms of creation and participation. The movement towards innovative online spaces and the need for telematic yet engaging experiences suggests a move towards gamification within culture, drawing parallels between the ways that computer games and screen-based experiences engage and immerse the audience, particularly through the use of a keyboard, controller and screen. This play-based interaction calls to mind Roy Ascott's concept of behaviourist artworks, which challenge the traditional relationship between active subjects and passive art objects, requiring game-like participation from an audience. This leads on to my current plans to expand my investigation postdoctorally. It may lead to an exploration of how current technology can further encourage engagement and participation, and consideration of how more engaging works can be created and augmented using the senses, particularly sense and touch, through haptic feedback such as Ultraleap post-COVID, to encourage audiences to reconnect with the art and culture. Thank you.